Chapter 12 of Genesis. Boker Tov, hallelujah. We're up and fresh today and looking forward to this Torah. Amen.
Amen.
Now, chapter 12 of Genesis. Now Yahuwah had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great. Thou shalt be a blessing.
That's quite interesting, given that in chapter 11 we've just had the Tower of Babel, and the reason for them building a tower and a city was to make a name for themselves.
Oh yeah.
So this is quite incredible.
He's given a name.
Yeah, I will bless you and make great your name. So when Yahweh does it for us, when we're doing it for ourselves, we're in trouble. Unless Yahweh build the house, the builders build in vain. Unless Yahweh guard the city, the watchmen guard in vain. But here, you've got a promise that through obedience to the will of Yahweh and setting your mission and purpose on Him, it will make you great, your name great, your reputation great.
Hallelujah.
And that's what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah. And I will, verse 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
Yeah.
So Abraham departed as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and lo, went with him, and Abraham 75 years old, when he departed out of Haran. And Abraham took Sarai, his wife, took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came.
Mm.
And Avraham passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanites then in the land. And the Canaanite then in the land. And Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham and said unto thy seed will I give this land. There builded he an altar unto Yahuwah, who appeared unto him.
Yeah, it's quite incredible that he came in. Obviously, he came in from the north, from Aram.
Yeah.
And he went first to Shechem. And Shechem was the extra portion given to Yosef. Yosef is buried in Shechem.
Yeah. It's now called Rubulus, isn't it? Rubulus, is it called?
Nablus. Rubulus.
Rubulus, yeah.
Rebelus.
No, it comes from something else, like Nicopolis or something like that.
All right, okay. Nablus. Maybe, love. I don't know. I've been there.
Yeah,
I went to an olive oil soap making factory.
I've looked over it, but I haven't actually been there.
And then I went to the Turkish baths and the market. Went to the refugee. There's a section of it split in two is Nablus. There's a section of the population that refuses to be classed as part of Israel, that have maintained refugee status so they can get the PLO payouts, or it's UNRWA they get paid out from, and they're living like squalor. It's called a refugee. It's called like a refugee camp, but it's not. It's like flats built in, like concrete flats built, but there's a lot of them quite together. But you know, they urinate everywhere. When you're walking around, all you can smell is urine.
What?
You know, like certain parts in Jerusalem, you used to get it, like next to the taxi rank, you used to get this. There was this bridge that you used to go under next to the taxi rank. They banned people from urinating outside, and every time you went through, there was this foul smell of rancid urine. I'm only saying that because then they complain about the way that they live, but they choose to live. They choose to live in that situation, and the other Arabs that don't actually hate them. There's a lot of conflict between those in Nablus that choose to continue this refugee status and cause a lot of trouble, and those that are wanting to just get on with their life and prosper. You know, and you can see the radical difference between the Arab section of those that want to just get on with normal life as much as possible, and they've just got a big marketplace and shops, and it's very, very nice. The actual ancient market town of Nablus, I went into a spice shop and the Turkish baths, that's a whole story by the way, but it's very nice. There's like bakeries, very old fashioned bakeries, you know, big stone ovens and things like that.
Historical.
Very historical.
Yeah.
And this olive oil soap making factory was fascinating. They had this big factory and they literally poured out the soap on the floor, let it set and then cut it up. And all day long there were these men like 1,000 miles an hour wrapping the soap up into big, big blocks. You know, there was one at a time and making like these big pyramids out of the soap of Nablus. Wow. Yeah, it was quite interesting watching them make the soap. Very old-fashioned soap-making factory. So it is interesting. It's not called Shechem now, and plus not so far away from there. The Samaritan people live because it's really up by Mount Gezerim, isn't it? Gezerim.
Yeah.
And Ebal, and the Samaritans live in that area.
I'll go back to 7. And Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham, and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. There builded he an altar unto Yahuwah, who appeared unto him. Now, does he actually see him? This is a question. He appeared unto him. Yahuwah, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and high on the east, and there he builded an altar unto Yahuwah, and called upon the name of Yahuwah. Interesting, because when Yaakov goes to Bethel, he names it Bethel from something else. So
Beit El.
Yeah. And Abraham.
This is where there is actually there is actually evidence that the first 36 chapters of Genesis were written before the Torah on tablets.
Okay.
You know, like the Akkadian stone tablets or whatever. There's evidence through what's called colophons, where you start and end. I think they're called colophons. Colophons. Where you start cuneiform, cuneiform style, where there's the start and the end, and the next tablet begins with the end of the last tablet. There is evidence that the first 36 chapters of Genesis can be split into cuneiform style tablets. So the theory would be that these tablets went in with the children of Israel to Egypt, and somehow each actual patriarch wrote their story. Moshe brought them out when he redeemed the children, and then incorporated that into the entire Torah text.
Where's the Testament of the Patriarchs in there as a book?
Okay, I haven't read this testimony of the patriarchs, but there is evidence in the actual text that different writers wrote Genesis, and possibly Moshe was just copying it down. And when he copied it down, he might have gone back and rewrote the names of the places.
Yeah, well, what the Torah is for, the 5 books of Moses, is a foundation for the children of Israel.
Yeah.
It's not only their laws, but it's his story, it's everything, isn't it? It's what Yahuwah told Moshe to write.
Yeah. Just like the Ugaritic text has got the Epic of I think so, what's it called now? I can't remember which people, but the Epic of Gilgamesh has got the flood story written in their clay tablets. It's Babylonian, isn't it?
Just an interesting thing is we're speaking and meditating on verse 8. And he removed from thence into the mountain on the east of Bethel. So there's on the east, yeah?
Yeah.
And pitched his tent. Bethel on the west, in Ai on the east. And there he built an altar unto Yahuwah, and called upon the name of Yahuwah. So, if you just put that in your mind, Bethel is on the west, Ai is on the east, and he built his tabernacle on the east of Bethel. So, when you look at the Mishkan pattern, you come in from the east, and you face the west.
Mm.
Bethel, the house of El, is on the west of where he made his altar. So the altar is on the east, and if you like, when you come in a tabernacle door, the first thing you see is the altar, and yet the Holy of the Holies is on the west. So there's even a pattern here, an early pattern of the tabernacle.
Yeah.
I forget what you call it, in position. So orchestrated is the word of.
Yeah, they've got another instance of Noah here. It says that he relocated from there to the mountain east of Bethel and pitched. I don't know whether it's in the feminine or hello, and pitched a tent.
And Abraham journeyed going on still towards the south, and there was a famine in the land. And Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for famine was grievous in the land. Sorry, I didn't want to read what you were talking about there.
Yeah, it's I've got just wait a minute, I need to get to the next chapter, the next verse. Where he says having pitched his tent. If you go into the I don't know whether it's because there's a direction involved in it. There's a hair on the hand. But alright, it's saying it is.
Where are you coming up from? Where are you reading from?
Well, oh hello is feminine, isn't it? I don't know whether there's a direction involved, because he's pitching his tent.
Yeah.
Like going south or doing something. Usually when you're on the way to something, you put a hay on the end, but that is, and pitched her tent.
What about, sorry love, what verse?
In verse 8.
Oh, and he removed from thence, and through the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent. I've got her tent here.
You've got her tent.
I've got his tent.
You've got his tent. Let me just see.
I think we did this last year, love.
This was Noah. Noah's tent is definitely in the feminine. It's written in the feminine.
Alright.
I'm just going to go.
Oh, her tent. That was when
it says here, Hebrew noun, common masculine singular construct. But it's ohel or inflected. The root is ohel. His tent. Okay. Noun, common. Masculine. I don't know why it's masculine. Oholo. It's definitely got a hair on the end. So pitched his tent with Bethel on the west. It's because there's a direction involved. Usually when you're going towards something, like if you go towards Goshen, it's called Goshna, towards something. So maybe for that reason. But hello, okay, it is in the masculine if it's vowel house that way. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine then. It just looked like it could be her tent. That's the exact letters are what you would write for her tent or hello.
Yeah.
The exact same letters. So even with that, there's a mystery involved with this because her tent is usually associated with the Holy Shekinah. So this tent, and also, can you remember that Isaac brought Rebecca into his mother's tent, her tent, and there's a reference to it being the Holy Shekinah there also.
So how about this then? What's the tabernacle is called something like Ohelet, isn't it?
Possibly, possibly, yeah. What I'm meaning is this might not be an ordinary tent.
What I was trying to think
it could be a tent for worship.
Is the Mishkan or the temple, whichever one you want to look at, is it actually, it's for the people, not for Yahuwah, yeah? So is it her tent because it's for the people, or is it his tent because it's Yahuwah's tent? You know what I'm saying? Is the Mishkan actually feminine to receive Yahuwah?
I don't know.
A tent is like to receive something, isn't it?
Yes,
See
definitely.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
To me, though, there's definitely a connection to the tent of Noah where this disaster happened. You know, where it was in her tent. It was in. It's definitely written in the feminine for Noah.
Yeah.
Getting drunk, and then having his nakedness uncovered in her tent. And
which would give you reason to believe that it was maternal testament.
Yeah, but also that he was trying to do something that was about rectifying the massive problem that he'd seen. Something to do with going into her tent, i.e. the Holy Shekinah, maybe in a way, you know, like there's a massive, massive hidden culture. We don't realise it because we're not exposed to it, but there is a massive culture within religions of trying to induce spiritual states through substances. This comes from Egypt, by the way.
Oh yeah,
the bread from heaven originally was hallucinogenic bread.
Mithras like sleeping with Samaranus, his mother.
Right.
That causes God status or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's this is it. They've got.
It's why you got Virgin Mary and her son.
Yeah.
Because they want to think that the father. Well, it's just a terrible picture. That's why Samaranus is painted as Mary holding her son Mithra, who was brought from the severed penis of his father, was meant to birth. You know, in some ways it's
a little bit like the Isis and Osiris story, isn't it?
That's the same story. Yes,
the same story, okay.
It's different god names. But the thing is, you know, it's if you really put it into a holy situation, our father inseminated Mary, and Mary had the baby, Yeshua, yeah?
Yeah.
But Yeshua becomes God's status. You see, it's an evil picture of what Yahuwah had in mind to bring redemption.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah, a little bit. You've got me lost a little bit.
Well, Esau killed Nimrod, didn't he?
Yes.
And Nimrod was married to somebody else.
Yeah.
How about didn't Nimrod have the cloth that Yahuwah covered Adam and Eve with or something?
Yes. According to Yasha.
Yeah.
According to Midrash, he had the skins, the original skins that were given to Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden.
Which were covering, yeah?
Yeah.
Which were covering for nakedness, you see. It's all intertwined.
But it made him a good hunter because he could be disguised to a certain degree from the animals.
Corruption, yeah. Praise God. Verse 9.
Then Asaph got hold of those skins.
Yeah. Now what am I thinking there? Nimrod. Now I thought Nimrod was a picture of these Egyptian gods, but it's a bit late in time, isn't it? Because Egypt was already there when Esau killed Nimrod. So my mind's going to drift there a bit.
Well, there's definitely a connection because Nimrod came from Cush and Mitzri.
Yeah.
It's related. These gods were what we were talking about.
Yeah.
What influence we were talking about?
Over the nations and that, aren't you?
No, I just mentioned about this is rooted in Egypt. I had a little bit more to say, but there's a specific concept that came from Egypt. There's a specific concept that came from Egypt. Oh yeah, it was the getting use of hallucinogenic substances to enter into states of supposed spirituality.
Yeah.
But it isn't, it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie of serpent. It's a serpent's way of doing it. This is why it's mentioned that Noah got drunk. You know, he planted a vine and then got drunk. Okay. Trying to, through substance, attain some kind of spiritual level where he could maybe better comprehend what had just happened, but it fails. Okay, we can't use drugs to enter into like spiritual states. No. You've got to do it via holy ways. So this, like now you've got this ayahuasca and eating slime from toads, and you've got there's a massive culture like Rastafarians use marijuana and stuff like that. It's part of their religion, literally part of the religion. But this is all rooted in Egypt, because you see the bread from heaven in Egypt had lotus seeds in it, which is hallucinogenic. It was made from lotus flower, lotus root, or whatever it was that they used it. So the original bread from heaven was hallucinogenic bread. And then when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, they was given bread from heaven, but it wasn't hallucinogenic. It was miraculous bread from heaven. The bread from heaven is Yeshua, we're told this. So a revelation of Yeshua, a manifestation of the name that Yeshua revealed to us, the outpouring of the Ruach HaKodesh, the outpouring of the Spirit of Truth, all these things are the holy way to induce heightened spiritual awareness. Even within the early church, you had a massive cult that used mushrooms to enhance spiritual awareness. So when I say this, and even this word Bethel, that is Luz, you know, Yaakov tells us that it was formerly Luz.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mystical association with this. The house of God is connected to the pineal gland. So people think if you can stimulate the pineal gland, like now they're using DMT from the ayahuasca and things like this to stimulate godlike experiences.
Don't need it there.
You don't, because there's an actual, there is actual spiritual consciousnesses that can be attained.
Yeah, we were talking about the spirit of a man.
You can elevate yourself up to have a much greater consciousness of Yahweh. He wants us to be more conscious of him.
More of him, less of you.
More of him, less of you. More aware of him.
Hallelujah.
More knowledge of him. Yeah. But he don't want us to be sucking the slime off toads' backs in order to attain that, or eating poison. It's literally intoxication that creates these states. It's a literal state of intoxication. So this is not the way. And there's a couple of words there that give us some indication that this is a kind of the word Hoholoh is connected to Noah. He went into her tent, but there's also this, because he got drunk and things like that, there's this connection to this Egyptian way of accessing greater levels of spirituality. And like you say, also incest. There was a lot of incest in Egypt. They only married the brothers and sisters. They only ever married the brothers and sisters. That's how they ended up so inbred. And I once looked at the when they, because they've left a lot of evidence with the mummies and things like that, they can actually go in and like Tutankhamun's, the diseases that he had were unbelievable. Clubfoot and just one disease after another, genetic diseases through very intense inbreeding over a long time. Brother to sister, it was only them because they was considered a royal godlike family and they had to keep...
Still happens in England, I think.
You what?
Still happening in England, I think.
It does happen. The Samaritans were the Samaritan people are the smallest gene pool in the entire world.
Yeah, and they've got a big disease.
And they've got a lot of genetic diseases. So they introduced, like Polish women in, this is when I went and visited the Samaritan community, they had to introduce a whole load of Polish women in. You cannot be a male convert to Samaritans. You can only be a female convert because of who they believe they are. That like they believe that Israelites, and in order to not mess up with they go through the male ancestry, not the female ancestry. So they had to bring in a whole load of Polish women to try and dilute the problem that they had with the inbreeding and genetic diseases as a consequence. But they have the smallest gene pool of any people, which is quite hard to believe, really, isn't it? Given all these remote tribes in different places.
It is, yeah.
You know, so there's a lot to think about. What do you think? Because I'm looking at the word I, spelled A-I. I know that it isn't in Hebrew, but it's spelt Ayin Yod. When you think about A-I, it's surveilling us. So,
seeing what does.
Pardon?
Seeing what the hand does, really, isn't it?
Seeing what?
The hand does.
AI.
Yeah.
I'm thinking AI technology.
Yeah, I know.
Because this, you know, we've got
See
warning.
what you do.
Yeah, we've warning in our Torah.
Yeah.
We've warning in our Torah that we've got this Oholah, which is connected to Noah, taking toxins in order to induce spiritual states. Then you've got this whole concept of Bethel that is formerly Luz, and this is to do with a lot of people think that the house of God and the ladder to heaven and is experienced again with an hallucinogenic experience connected to the penial gland. I've heard this. I've got a whole book on this that I've read. Rabbi Joel Bakst wrote a whole book on this concept of Bethel being connected to almost drug-induced spiritual ecstasy. And then you've got AI next to it. Is this another warning for us? Because you see, people are being lulled into a controlled, manipulated, MK Ultra state of mind by this AI technology. You know, they've been lulled in some way. Is this having a similar effect on people as what taking drugs are?
Yeah.
Is it controlling our minds?
Look at the reels on your telephone. You see one thing, there's a picture of something else about to happen. So you think, oh, just see what happens there. And then it can be either a disappointment or a laugh or something quite spiritual. And then you go to another one. So your attention is being programmed.
Yeah. Something's happening to manipulate our levels of consciousness,
Yeah.
perhaps so that we're not even able to thoroughly access Yahweh in the normal way that you should.
Yeah.
To null our senses in
Yeah.
some way, to induce like a spiritual slumber.
Well, you know, I think, well, let's not go on about that. I don't want to talk about myself. Well, just seeing here, right, that Yahuwah's going to give Canaan to Abraham. He's going to give the land of the man that was cursed, his land.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? And the first place he goes to is Bethel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The house of
which
God.
is what you just said, Lewis, and everything mystical there. But what happens next? He goes south.
Mm.
Yeah, and when he goes south, there's a famine there, and he has to go to Egypt. Now this happens through Genesis, and Yeshua goes to Egypt too.
Yeah.
It seems like it's something that has to happen, that man goes down to Egypt.
You know, I had a theory about this actually. There is a theory about it. it goes back to the wisdom of Adam. Adam had, this is the mystical way that it's written, okay? So I'm just going to tell you it's a mystical way, it's coded way what happened. So Adam had 48 drops of wisdom. All those 48 drops of wisdom went into the Nile River and went into Egypt. That's why they became a very wise, very advanced civilization. Very quickly they became super advanced.
Yeah.
And they say because the drops of the wisdom of Adam went into the Nile and then ended up in Egypt. However, the children of Israel then had to go into Egypt to retrieve these drops of wisdom in some way. That's where the whole point of the exile was. So they went in and came out, and the 48 drops of wisdom became the 48 prophets of Israel. Each one contained a drop of wisdom. This is a coded way of saying that sometimes you see the famines are not always food. What are we told the final famine will be?
The word of Yah.
Knowledge of Yah, the word, yeah. The final real famine is not understanding the word.
Well, I believe it's out there now. It's as bad as it's ever been.
According
to the multitude of people on the earth, the lack of the knowledge of the word of Yah's lesson.
It says Yahweh appeases.
There may be more people who know it, but compared to the amount of people on earth, it's a very small number.
Look at the fruit of that knowledge, though. Hamas. If you think about the knowledge of God supposed to go out into the nations, right? Sanctify the nations. Look what's happened at this time. You've got all these liberal Christians marrying, same sex and things like that. You've got this. They've got the word, and this is the fruit of their learning.
Well, Romans chapter 1.
Lack of learning. So there's a lack of knowledge. There's a lack of knowledge. Everybody's living in fear and anxiety. Everybody's chasing money. Everybody's living for beautification. Vanity and superficial reality. There's no depth. So what I'm meaning is, we're all flicking through our reels at 1,000 miles an hour. We're getting programmed to dumb us down. The final knowledge is the lack of knowledge. It's a family of knowledge. It says in the Talmud that Yosef is Serapis, which is the Egyptian god, Apis and Osiris, an amalgamation of Apis, the bull god, and Osiris, the one who brought forth bread for the people of Egypt, because he learned how to grow wheat in the fertile Nile plains. Okay, so Nile Delta. This is what happened. He became a god as a result of feeding the Egyptians, and then they say that because they had bread and didn't have to worry about going out and feeding people anymore, they had a way to bring enough food for people. Then they could focus on advanced technology and stuff like that. So what happened is, we're now in a situation where Yosef, it says in the Talmud, Yosef repeats two famines. The famine of food, which we've been told about in the Torah, but he's also accredited with appeasing. Apis is connected to the word in Hebrew for appeasement.
Yeah.
I think it's mapis. He appeased the famine of knowledge. Understanding.
Serapis, you better explain who that is, because not many.
Serapis is an amalgamation. When Joseph went into Egypt, okay, he couldn't have been second in command unless he was considered to be a god. We know he was considered to be a god because those two visions to Pharaoh meant something very serious concerning the wisdom of Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have the wheat that represented Osiris, one of the top gods of Egypt. He's buried, and there's effigies of Osiris in there's effigies of Osiris in some of these big Egyptian tombs of kings, and in it they plant it up with wheat. okay, to feed the gods in the afterlife, or whatever the reason, or to, to bring in good vibes from Osiris, who was considered a god. He was the one that considered developing the technology to create agriculture in the Nile Delta. So he's accredited with that. Then you've got the bull god, Apis. Okay, strong. So Yosef, this is represented by the cows that came out of the river. These two visions that Pharaoh had, he wasn't distressed because he was worried about a lack of food or what there might be. He knew what those visions were to him. As the wheat represented Osiris, the cows represented Isis or Hathor, the female divine wisdom, and the male supreme divine wisdom, okay, of Egypt, the upper wisdom, the lower wisdom. So suddenly he's seeing a big juicy fat cow representing the wisdom of Egypt, and big flourishing kernels of wheat representing the wisdom and understanding of Egypt that caused them to flourish to the degree that they did. Suddenly along comes scrawny knowledge that gobbles up the fat knowledge, but ends up still east wind beaten bad wheat, bad knowledge, bad wisdom, ugly wisdom. It's called ugly. And then the cows come along, beautiful cows, it says, get eaten by scrawny, ugly cows, and yet they still remain scrawny, ugly cows. Look what happens in universities today. The kids go in, they learn this, and they end up ugly. They're gobbling up the wisdom, and they don't even do anything about it, don't make them more beautiful. So he's thinking, we're going to have our wisdom gobbled up by a lesser wisdom, and then what's going to happen? The whole of Egypt's in trouble. If we lose our wisdom, they knew what prospered them, the wisdom, the good, beautiful, fat, healthy wisdom was going to get wizened, eaten up, gobbled up, and suddenly they're going to have ugly, disgusting, wind-beaten, scrawny wisdom and knowledge.
Isn't that the truth?
This is what we see in the world today. Yosef came in, we can interpret your dreams. Don't worry, it's only going to be a famine of food this time. You've nothing to worry about. We're going to prepare storehouses. So he was very happy to hear this. The dream, according to the interpretation, however, and Pharaoh knew that. And then what happened was, what did Pharaoh say about Yosef? There's nobody more wise, or who could be more wise or more understanding than this man. So suddenly he's second in command under Pharaoh. Pharaoh is seen as the god, the supreme god. He had to have the second under him, had to be a god. So Yosef has got the status of Serapis, two amalgamated gods together, one the bull god and one Osiris, Serapis, Osiris. This is the Greek way of saying it, Serapis, but it would have been Osiris. This, if you trace back when this god amalgamated, exactly, I think it goes back to the 15th dynasty. I can't remember. I did do research on it at one time. It goes back to the exact time Yosef was in Egypt. They can trace when were these two gods amalgamated in Egypt culture, in Egyptology. It was the exact time, according to the dates of like Seder Olam, when Yosef was in Egypt. It says in the Talmud that Yosef will appease the famine of knowledge. What have we got right now in this world? A famine of knowledge. It's not food, it's knowledge. People can literally read what have access to all information that they want through AI and everything. What does feeding these people this knowledge make them? They're gobbling it all up.
Dumber.
Becoming dumber, becoming more hate-filled, becoming more violent, more oppressed, more radical, more extreme,
unanchored.
More, stupid unions between dumb and dumber.
Yeah.
It's really a famine of knowledge that we've got right now. Yeah. So there's only one remedy to that famine of knowledge.
And wisdom.
No, this is the Torah of Yosef.
Yeah, well, it is. Wisdom.
You see, the Torah that came forth from Zion is what appeases this knowledge. We have got the Torah that comes forth from Zion. Zion is an appellation of Yosef. You've got the same Gematria, 156. The Torah shall go forth from Zion means the Torah that has got to come forth from the house of Yosef. Why? Because they've been anointed with such.
Praise you.
This is why our Torah is so important at this time.
Yeah.
Because there's a famine of knowledge that's killing people. And even Pharaoh was not as dumb. He understood that this is a even Pharaoh understood how dumb it was. So you see, when we've got to go back to Egypt to learn, these are the things that we need to learn. Because you see, this world is happening. This is happening now. And people are tolerating it now. All this anti-Zionism, all this anti-Semitism, all this hate, all this Islamic extremism, all this Hamas propaganda, they're all at it. It doesn't matter what knowledge that we've got, what wisdom, how advanced the system, the humanity's got. You see, if these people take over, you'll have just situations like Gaza. It don't matter how advanced medical technology is, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. They burn hospitals down. They use hospitals as bases for launching weapons from. They're not interested in knowledge. They're interested in fear and death and violence. So, what kind of world do you want to live in? Wake up. Got to learn from Pharaoh about this situation. That's all I've got to say, lovey.
And there was a famine in the land. Abraham went down into Egypt, Mitzrayim, to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was near to enter into Egypt, that he said to Sarai, his wife, Behold, now I know thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Mitzrayim Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee.
So you've got to be fairly...
Interesting. My soul shall live because of thee.
Yeah.
Is this the first seed of Sarah?
Is this the what?
First seed of Sarah. And my soul will live because of thee.
Yeah. And she was beautiful to the utmost. Eventually the Greeks had a lot of influence in Egypt, because it sounds like from here the Egyptians was very, very interested in beauty. The Greeks were very, very interested in beauty also.
Well,
so
it mixes with what the fallen angels brought, doesn't it? We've been reading about
yes.
what the fallen angels bring.
Yeah,
all of
this.
Well, and the knowledge in Egypt is all about the fallen mighty ones, or the watchers, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to this, or he said, say please. He's using the word nah. He hadn't just forced it upon her, he's asking her politely
say,
to do
I
this.
pray thee. It's got I pray thee.
Yeah, it says, it's imre, no, say please, that my sister you are, so that it may go well, good with me, for your sake, and remain alive, may my soul, on account of you. I think we should stop there, Lovey, because that's just the second portion, but we've gone on for quite a long time, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, very, very interesting Torah there. Very, very relevant for our times.
Shalom.
Shalom.